We're ready. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I think I'm ready for a staff now. Every week now, I have all these things I have to do before. It seems like it's more and more every week there. Thank you very much for joining us this week on the Ravery Sports Podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. So, thank you very much for joining us here this week. We appreciate it. Thank you. We're getting a lot of views, a lot more than we used to have. So we appreciate that. A lot of people complaining about the videos and saying I stuck. So that only means you're watching. So thank you very much for that. So let's go ahead and get this squared away. Get the box and show headlines here. All right. So thank you. Harris Legal Shield in Winchester, Virginia. So definitely, too, if you are looking for some legal shield, I've definitely lately had some legal things to take care of, legal issues in my business and my life in general. And let me tell you something. Picking up the phone, I just did today for a legal contract. Use your legal shield for any legal matter. You will save yourself a lot of time, money, energy, etc. It's a tremendous resource for you. To go ahead and get that squared away. So definitely, if you haven't already, definitely check out Legal Shield as we go. RaverySports.company.site. Definitely. Ravery Sports, if you're looking for Orioles, Ravens, merchandise, you're going to definitely check that out. If you are looking for it, you can go right on the website. You buy your new Lamar jersey. We have a deal now with Fanatics. There's Fanatics links. If you want the brand new Malachi Starks jersey, the gold jerseys, all the type of stuff that we have. So we have more stuff for you on the site. So in all the links, we'll go ahead and check out every Saturday on Sunday, especially on Twitter. You see links for the Fanatics as well, as long as the Ravery Sports. Genesis Notary Services, for those of you in the Shenandoah Valley, this week had Genesis Notary Services work to do last night, which is why I wasn't on the Driving to the Top. So again, busy with that as well. So thank you, all of you out there for watching. More of you are watching, and we appreciate it as well. We're here in July. We're getting through the summer here, through our baseball season. And now, as we're almost ready for football here, Hall of Fame game here pretty soon, the rookies have already went to camp. So this is pretty much our very last, what I call off-season video here this week when we talk about Ravens. So this is pretty much the last one when we talk about the season, because the rookies are now at camp. Next week, we're going to have vets. We're going to do our state of the franchise. So we're going to talk about the state of the Ravens, kind of like the president, the State of the Union, but we start the football season. We're going to start the state of the franchise. After that, we're going to have training camp reports, and we'll be talking about games, regular season. So after that, so we're ready for the season to start. But let's look at one more thing here in the offseason as well. This is the Ravens on the hot seat. So who's under pressure? Obviously, as adults, we have pressure, right? We go to work every day. We pay bills. Well, some of us pay bills. Some of us help. Whatever we do, we raise children, whatever. The hot seat. In football, there's pressure all the time. Football, more than any other sport, as far as contract, as far as money, they don't make as much money because there's more players on the team, and the contracts are guaranteed because of the violent nature. So there's pressure. And so who is under the most pressure to perform? Now, pressure could be in terms of skill level, losing your job, whatever, getting fired. Who has heat on them throughout this season? Who has heat right at the start? Last year we did this where some guys were on the hot, now they're colder, whatever, etc. So we're going to look at guys who is under the most pressure, who is on the hot seat. I will say one that's not there is John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh was definitely on the hot seat last year. I think he survives no matter what. This year, he might retire. So let's look at the hot seat this year. Now, we can't start with hot. We're going to start with cold. Who is on the team and it's cold? So what does that mean? I didn't include rookies on here. I generally don't. It's too hard to quantify. So Malachi Starks, Mike Green, who isn't signed, by the way, who's still that's a whole nother issue. But a lot of these guys, obviously, if you're a lower pick, you get more room to go. If you're higher pick, rather, you kind of get more room to grow. You're really not under a lot of pressure. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure if you're a low pick, but there's no real expectation of it. So I didn't include any rookies on here. So the veteran group, who is on the hot seat and who's cold? This is cold. So what is that? This is the core of the team. These are the leaders. These are the guys that are building around your football team as far as that. Obviously, our fearless leader, Lamar Jackson, is at 1. Obviously, nothing's going to happen. Lamar's going to get a huge extension. Kyle Hamilton, I think, is 2. Kyle's going to get an extension. I think they're going to maybe working that out right now as well. We'll see. Tyler Linderbaum, I think, is there as well. Not quite an extension. I think he's going to get one. Linderbaum, I think, might be sooner than Hamilton because they didn't pick up the option. I think they're going to pay him as a center, which is why they didn't pick it up. So I think they're going to change that. Justin Madubuike, not quite as good last year, but really good still. I think they're paying Madubuike a lot of money. Roquan, little rumor about Roquan being out of shape. I'm not so worried about Roquan quite yet. I mean, we're here still in July as well. Zay Flowers, definitely he's definitely core of the football team. He hasn't been extended yet, but I think that's only a matter of time. I think they'd franchise him if they didn't get it. And Roger Rosengarten, so as well. So Roger Rosengarten, clearly, I think the tackle of the future here. The guy on the offensive line, Madubuike, Linderbaum, and Rosengarten, they're going to build that around. Cool. That's the core of your football team. They'll be there regardless. Cool. Now, not quite the core like those guys. Long-term build around, but in the short term, be very surprised. Derrick Henry just signed an extension, probably not in the other category, only because he's 30-something years old, so that's a little bit of a concern, maybe a little bit as far as that goes, so he's not going to have too long of a deal. Nate Wiggins, I think, as well. Not quite an extension yet, but probably in that same category. Rashad Bateman did sign an extension. So he's your number 2 receiver, but he's signed for a couple years. Definitely put him in this category. Shout out to Rashad getting this far. Rashad really has proven himself. I think really changed it. I think he's solid if healthy. Ronnie Stanley, again, last year, hot seat, played well, got an extension. Good job, Ronnie Stanley, getting that deal done. And Marlon Humphrey, kind of the same. Hot seat, struggled, injured later before, played well. I think he's back in the core of the team. I think he's definitely, they view him as the number 1 corner, even though a lot of times he'll be in the slot. This is the mid, right? So you're not really hot, you're not really cold. This is how most of the NFL looks. So probably a spot on the team, but maybe they're on a 1 year. Maybe you won't see them next year. Maybe if they don't play well, etc., maybe they'll start. A little tough to tell as far as that. Most of the team. Pat Ricard, Cooper Rush, Travis Jones, Joseph Noteboom, Bo Braid, Cecily Kane, Tylen Wallace. I think I said Bo Braid, Cecily Kane, Tylen Wallace, Devontae Walker. nobody really sticks out there. I think Noteboom, I think, will be here for a year. Jones might get into the other category. We'll see. I think I'm not putting him there yet simply because they have so much money there in Matabuke. So we'll see if that's probably if one that maybe wouldn't be in this category. I'm still going to put it here. I don't think he's I don't think he can survive like, a down year or anything. I think like there's still a little bit. I think he's still in the mid category. I wouldn't put him in the cold or the cool category. Jordan Stout, Nick Moore, Andrew Voorhees, Tavarius Robinson, Kyle Van Noy, John Jenkins, TJ Tampa, Adiza Isaacs, Charlie Kolar. Stout, I think for sure is going to be on the team. So is Nick Moore if healthy. Voorhees, I think, is a spot. Tavavius Robinson, I think definitely. I don't know how much he'll play. Van Noy is a solid player, but older. John Jenkins, same. He'll rotational player. TJ Champ and Isaac, we really don't know. High picks, a lot of faith in them, but they'll probably not get cut. They'll probably be there. Charlie Kolar, same. Although I think he's somewhat more vulnerable than people think, but I don't think there's a real challenger for him. I mean, he is still, even though he's a vet, he's still a third tight end. There's some when you're a third tight end, there's still a better chance that you can get beaten out as well. Jake Hummel, Chibi Ogoze as well, and also Jair Alexander. Hummel, I think a special teams guy. I think if he plays well, he'll be on the roster as well. Owuzie, I think same. And Alexander, I think he's going to be your starter. I think either that or Nate Wiggins is going to be in the slide. He's going to have a major role on the team. Owuzie, I think there's a little more pressure on him. There's another way to look at that. Probably with Alexander, maybe a little less time on the field, but I think he's on the roster. I think I'd be surprised if he doesn't make it, or if it isn't, he'll play somewhere. There'll be a trade. They really like one of the young corners, one of the young rookie corners. Hot seat. So these guys have some pressure on them. Good players, some of them, but heat is a little bit here in a bunch of cases. Keaton Mitchell. Somebody say that's weird because he's a good player. Yeah, but still, third running back. Coming off an injury, was good last year. So was the two guys. The two guys ahead of him are really good. So he's gonna have to fight for playing time. Interesting to see how much he actually plays. He's gonna have to play well still. He can't. Lots of pressure on Keaton Mitchell. Trent Simpson, a lot of high hopes. Last year didn't play as well. Got benched. Really didn't play at all down the stretch. They're gonna try him to start. They did have Teddy Buchanan at his position. So there's some pressure on him. I don't think he's gonna have to fight in camp a little bit harder, I think, this year to keep the spot. Daniel Falele, yeah, man. Everybody's assuming that this is done with Falele. They drafted a lot of tackles for a reason. I can't believe that just looking at left guard. So we know how much they like Linderbaum. You know how much they like Linderbaum. They gave Ronnie Stanley a lot of money, and also too, I think Rosengarten, I think is a core piece. So what's left? They drafted a lot of offensive linemen for a reason. He probably starts, but they're watching him. I definitely think they're absolutely watching him. Justice Hill, I think he's a little lower than Mitchell. I think he is going to play more. I will say, though, he still could be in the same boat as Mitchell. I think it's less likely, but they could move him. I think if it is, if Mitchell is really good enough, I don't expect that, but I think it is possible as well. He was really good last year. May see the field less this year. It wouldn't happen. Nick Samak, I don't know if he's going to make the team. They drafted him low. He's an unknown, but he was a lower pick than a lot of the rookies last year. We just talked about it, TJ Tampa and Adiza Isaac. I would say Samak kind of in the same boat, but he's a little bit worse because he's a lower pick, and I don't know. So I'm thinking maybe he doesn't make the team. It's a little hot. Broderick Washington as well. Interesting. Now, I had Travis Jones in the mid category. I had him. Broderick's been a somewhat disappointing contract coming up. It is possible that he gets less time here as well. So we'll see. They did take John Jenkins, who got some experience. Broderick has to play well. Broderick is a little bit hot. Not blazing hot because I don't think there's a lot of competition for him. But I think under different circumstances, you might put him in the category. Just kind of okay. They need him to be better. These guys are red flaming hot in terms of pressure on him as well. David Ojabo, I don't think he makes the Ravens in 2025. I don't think so. I think it's possible he does. It's possible. I think he might have. They brought in a lot of edge rush guys. He just hasn't shown that much. I think he's on the outside looking in. Ben Cleveland's here because it's clear. I don't care what anybody says at this point. Harbaugh just doesn't like him. His coach just doesn't. I think with all the issues he had, they put that out there. He's got absolutely no signing bonus. They give him $1 million if he makes the team. He doesn't get anything if he doesn't. So interesting with Ben. I think I don't think he could make the team. I think it's a little more than a Jabo, but I'm not sure. Jalen Armour-Davis, I think rumor is he may be moving to safety. I think I almost want to not put him in a hot. He's definitely in a hot seat. I almost do want to, on some level, give him credit for lasting as long as he even has, because he hasn't, with the injuries, being low on the depth chart. It seems like every time you kind of wash your hands with him, he plays well. So he may be moving to safety, especially with the injury there at Darius. We'll see about that as well. And the last two, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Surely they're on the team. Andrews, in part, I think it's a little more obvious. He's older, and he had the drop pass in the playoff game as well. So, and he doesn't have a contract for next year. So I think that's obvious. I don't know if they're in the pressure as far as getting cut, but there's definitely a lot of heat on Mark Andrews as well. Isaiah Likely does too. I think everybody's assuming that this is going to go, but Isaiah Likely is playing for a contract. Rumor is the Ravens have offered him a contract. We'll see about that, but he's certainly playing for a contract either him next year. Look, he's still hasn't been named starter, and he doesn't have a contract for next season. So there's a lot of pressure. He's got to maintain what he's been doing. You know what I'm saying? So in order to get that money. So it'd be interesting to see if he can get a contract as well with the Ravens or somewhere else. Hot seat. There you go. So there it is. Ravens on the hot seat. Interesting to see how this goes. I think Ojabo is really on borrowed time. Robert was really in a tough spot. Ben Cleveland really in a tough spot. Armour-Davis really in a tough spot. We'll see how this shakes out with the tight ends. A lot of pressure on him. Broderick as well. I do think Roger Rosengart, core of your team. No way they're letting Rosengart go. He's going to be the guy, once Stanley's gone, that's going to lead him. I think at some point they may put him at right tackle. They might put him at left tackle to go ahead and cover Lamar Jackson as well. Also may have a contract negotiation coming up soon. All right. We got that. All right. So next topic. So we're going to stay with the NFL, and let's go ahead. We're doing our top 10 lists. We've been doing them all off season, and we're going to go into next season. Go ahead with who are the top 10 guys in the NFL as far as each position on the field. And this week we're going to continue with the big guys, the offensive line. So who are the top 10 guys on the offensive line? And you talk about the NFL. Who are the 10 best offensive linemen in the NFL? Some change as well. We're going to see some different faces. Some faces that have been there for a while, but some that are in different places as well. So some that have been good in one place for a long time, and then some have been in different places as well. So we will go ahead and take a look at that. Number 10 for the Brownies. Cleveland Browns, Joe Beninado, Batanio. One of these years, I'm gonna say it right. I'm gonna say his name right. And I say the same thing. He's an outstanding offensive lineman. I mean, this guy is tough, definitely good in pass protection. So I think absolutely this guy actually fits what they're doing in Cleveland as well. You're going to have Joe Flacco, so you're going to have to protect him. You're going to have pass protection. He's a little bit older now, so that's a thing. He's going to have to. I think that is a bit of concern why he's not higher as well. In years past, I think I've had him higher, but I think that is a concern as well. But no real problem with having Beninado still in the top 10 with all the changes here as well in the offensive line. I like him. I have him in the top 10. Number 9, look at him in the Ravens jersey. Kevin Zeitler for the Tennessee Titans. Zeitler, I think, is pretty good. I think he's Zeitler, I think, is really good. I think his physicality is unmatched. I think he's really strong. I think when you have a guard, I want a guard to really be an elite guard or guard for me at all. The mauling has to be there. I don't get out of my face with a guard that's technical, and that's fine and dandy for some teams. But for me, I want a guy like Zeitler. Somebody's going to get his hands on you and get you down the field as well. He's going to be playing for a rookie, so they're going to be depending on him a lot as well in Tennessee. So we're definitely going to have him, definitely going to need him. So Kevin Zeitler, I think Zeitler aging a bit, so there is some concern with that. But I got no problem having Zeitler in 9. I think Zeitler is the real deal. Number 9. Number 8, Kevin Dotson of the Los Angeles Rams. Dotson, I think, honestly, I think this is about his ceiling. So there is some, I always felt he could have been better than what he was. I think he kind of put him right here as well for his career. I always felt like he could have been a top 5, a top 4 guy, but he's a bit of a junkyard dog. Right? That's kind of what he is. A bit of a junkyard dog. Definitely perfect in the Rams run game. So this is a guy who is a bit of a run blocker who's going to handle that situation. So I do like him is because he definitely knows how to run block in their system. So he's definitely a guy that can absolutely do that. So again, bit of a ceiling. I think 8 is good for him, but he's a solid vet. Solid vet, I think, is a fair thing to say about Kevin Zeitler, good run blocker. Number 8. Now, Tyler Smith. Upside is tremendous for this young player. A lot of people kept telling me how good Tyler Smith was last year. So I kept saying, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Tyler Smith is the real deal. Huge, first of all, as well. So he's 322 pounds. Big guy for his position as well. I think at some point, if he keeps developing, I think they may move him to tackle. Solid run and pass blocker. So it's a bit of a projection because I think because he's still a young player, he still has some work to do. But I think Tyler Smith, I think, is the real deal. I think he's absolutely going to be a guy. Reminds me of those great Cowboy lines that he's had, wearing that 73, like 2-8 and those guys. So I definitely think Tyler Smith will work. They're going to need, again, protecting a guy that's going to need protection in Dak Prescott as well. Bit of a projection, but I think Tyler Smith is getting there. Number 7. This guy, if you need a loan, you can go get one from Trey Smith because the Chefs just paid him a whole lot of money. The strength is underrated for the Chiefs dynasty so many years is the offensive line. So now this is the guy that's going to go ahead and have to take him because now they went ahead and moved on from Joe Thuney because they had to sign Trey Smith. So they were able to keep Creed Humphrey. They were able to keep Trey Smith. outstanding stuff from these guys. These guys are excellent offensive guard as well. So the Chiefs, again, no longer, I think, the best in the tech from guard to guard in the league, but definitely one guard in the center is good. Trey Smith, outstanding run blocker for them. Outstanding. There's a reason why Isaiah Pacheco looks as good as he does when he does plays. Quinn Mayers for the Broncos as well. So this is a guy that's kind of snuck up on people here. So if you said this name like a few years ago, this would be one where you wouldn't have his name like it is. But last year he was really, really good. Excuse me. Last year was really, really good. So this was a guy, former Division III player. Now he's an NFL All-Pro. So shout out to him as well. Played center in college. Just his hands and feet are so quick as well. So he's definitely a guy that is going to, I think, again, kind of like Tyler Smith, bit of a projection as well. A bit of a guy that is really I think he has the ability to become more than like the fourth or fifth. Like he could be a guy that's perennially number one every year as well. So absolutely, I think he's a guy that absolutely has that, but good athleticism here. Not quite the mauler, I think he is, despite that gut there. But definitely he has that. Joe Thuney for the Chicago Bears. Thuney, I think, has been so good for so long. I think the Chefs traded him, I think, so they could go ahead and free up that money for Trey Smith. The Bears are happy to have him. I think he's the best, one of them, and one of the best left guards in the league. They actually moved him to tackle. Mixed results. Not as good a tackle because they had so many injuries. But Thuney, I think, is the juggernaut. I think Thuney gets your hands on you. Definitely, he's a very well-rounded guard. Definitely has hands. Definitely has maul. Definitely has pass and run block as well. He's a good pass blocker. That's why they put him in tackle. He can play outstanding stuff from Thuney. Getting older as well. So that's another reason. He's in his 30s. Now guards can be a little bit older. Guards are not like running backs necessarily or wide receivers were like the 31, 32. They could be 34, 35. That's fine. But I definitely think Thuney still, I'm putting him in the top 4. Quinyon Nelson, I think, is fantastic, has been fantastic. I think he's a bit underrated because he's in Indianapolis as well. Certainly one of the best college. Every time I see Quinyon, I think about how good he was at Notre Dame in college as well. Outstanding in the pros. The only thing with him, I think he's had some injuries, but he's been terrific. I think he's absolutely – you want to watch people getting humiliated offensive line. You don't see offensive line take guys 4 or 5 yards down the field. You see that with Quinyon Nelson when he actually plays for the Colts as well. Injuries have made him a little inconsistent, but I still love him. I still think he's outstanding as well. Landon Dickerson, I think you talk about the offensive line. The Eagles might have the best offensive line in the entire NFL. I think even it was Detroit. I think it might be Philadelphia. Landon Dickerson, I think, I tell you what, the Eagles, man, running the football, you can forget about it. I mean, they're going to run the football pretty much whenever they want. And when you have a guy like Landon Dickerson there on their side and all the talent that they have, it's going to be hard to go ahead and do that. Definitely physical, definitely has good size, good technique. I do like his run blocking more than his pass blocking, but I mean, he's playing on Eagles, so he's in the right place. He's going to run a lot. I think he's outstanding as well. But Chris Lindstrom of the Atlanta Falcons is number 1. I think he's very complete in all areas. When you get the number 1 guy, Chris Lindstrom, I think of all the guys on this list, it doesn't matter what the scheme is. It doesn't matter which team he's on. He's going to be solid no matter where he goes. It feels like he's almost being wasted in Atlanta as well because this guy never needs help, very good leader of the line, very good line with the line calls and everything like that. About as good as you could find. Chris Lindstrom, number 1 for the Falcons. There you go. So those are the big guys, the offensive linemen. Graham Glasnow kind of fell off there. I had Zach Martin retire, so some movement there. So guys like that, Joe Tooney with a new team. You'll see. Offensive line play is so important. I think it's such a problem now. The lack of practice time the guys get now, they try and preserve guys more for the game, and I think it's hurt the offensive line the most. And so I think also, too, with guards, they kind of overlook guards. You want to pay your tackle. You want to pay your center. These guys are not that. None of those guys on this list. These guys are premium, solid NFL players as well. So just keep that in mind as well with these guards. The best offensive linemen in the NFL, the best guards. So there you go. All right. Real quick. Channel announcements here. So DCR TV, Dan Lane is going to sit with us. He already sat with me in the interview I recorded this week. So not a big sports interview there. We're going to talk a little bit at the beginning, but we're going to talk about Baltimore and radio, Baltimore and DC radio television. We talk a lot about the DCR TV. If you don't know what that is TV and radio news in Baltimore. I think sports media, and it's funny, the next story will go into sports media, but I think it's so important as well. So we're seeing a big shift in the media. What's funding these sports guys? It's the media. I think it's so important. People want to know, how do you consume media? How do you watching your shows? How are you? We're watching this. You're watching this right now. I say at the beginning of every. You're watching this on YouTube. You're watching this on X. You're watching this on Rumble. You're watching this on Twitch. You're listening to this on Spotify. There's multiple platforms out there. There's other television. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. So DCR TV keeps you up on the news, who's getting hired in Baltimore radio, TV, and the media and all that other stuff. So I think it's a great thing. Definitely check it out. I'm going to go ahead and there's definitely, if you check out the channel, there's a link to it. But Dan Lane does an outstanding job. Great conversation. Next week also to hopefully, fingers crossed, this next guest we're going to have, you're going to love. Like, he's a hilarious guy. We're going to be talking about a sport we don't usually talk about here. That's coming. Ooh, something's in my eye as well. Okay. Have to remind one more time. FS1. So how to lead into that, though? Yeah. FS1. Let me get to that. So is going on. So Fox Sports 1 has another shakeup. It seems, you know what? Hold on a second. Oof. All right. All right. Now we're going to start talking. FS1 shakeup. So this week, the Fox Sports 1 had 3 shows that went off the air. So goodbye to Breakfast Ball, their morning show, and then not Cowherd. They're keeping Colin Cowherd. Obviously, he's the number 1 guy. They're keeping First Things First. I think Nick Wright, is second. I think, or first, depending on what that is. So those are staying, but they're getting rid of Speak, which used to be Speak for Yourself, is gone, and the facility, the only pretty much known for Mayo Acho and the other show that replaced Undisputed at the 10 o'clock spot on the network. Okay, so seems like we've had this conversation, haven't we? Like a couple summers ago. Let's go to the shows first. Let's talk about that first. There were obviously, everywhere I saw, everybody talked about Joy Taylor. The lawsuit that went on, that's in public with Fox Sports News, with the law, with the Fox network, with the lawsuit Joy was named in a lawsuit that was alleged against Shannon Sharp, etc. About there was a hairdresser involved, etc. I'm not going to go into all that, but little bad karma there as well. So her name was named in it. Emmanuel Acho's name was named in it. Skip Bayless' name was named in the lawsuit as well. Shannon is right now in court right now, even though he's no longer there, fighting with this lawsuit and all that other stuff, etc. So that's, and I want to mention, obviously, the guy who was the head of FS1, Charlie Dixon, again, alleged that he had a romantic relationship with Joy Taylor, who was this influencer, much younger. Joy is 39, 40 or whatever it is, and Charlie's in his 50s or whatever. I think a lot of that stigma was there. A lot of that was there. A lot of that was a part of why these guys were let go. Just a part. I think it's a little bit more over dramatized, but I think with the lawsuit and all that other stuff hanging out and all that, and we don't need that. We don't need that. I say that was a part. I think that didn't help matters. The bigger part is nobody watched like the shows. I said this last year when it went on. I was like, I'm the person in this particular case that you should be wanting to watch your shows. Me in particular, like a lot of cases, I like other shows, drama shows, whatever, music. I'm not the demographic for it, but I certainly am for a FS1 sports show. Demographic, middle-aged guy from wherever, US. Those shows, and they just didn't have it. Carton, I think, is a good New York radio guy. I guess. I mean, I'm not a New Yorker, but he had a lot. He certainly had a lot of success in New York. It's amazing me he got his job back, considering this guy went to jail for gambling and all that. I mean, that he got a second chance. Shout out to him. I'm all for second chances, but he got an even bigger opportunity. That's astounding. But he didn't do well when they got rid of. They thought they would move first things first and build up the afternoon, and it didn't happen. In the show, and it didn't do well. I think if anything on that show, I think Danny Parkins is kind of in with Cowherd, so he'll stay. I think they'll keep him doing something, so I think that's the one. Slarif is going to do some games. I think he's going to continue to do games for the network like he was doing before, so I think he's fine. Carton is probably going to go back there for him. So nobody even talked about that one. Like, a lot of stuff I saw as well. Talking about the facility, I think, like, look, Acho is just not the engaging guy that people think he is. He's just they tried. I think he's just not as engaging as people think he is. I think in my honest opinion, I think what he tried to be like was Skip Bayless. Like, just a hot take and just say things and just the whole Lamar Jackson Josh Allen thing where he's just standing on Josh Allen and was fat and all, he's just that's just what it was. So the ratings were not good for that as well. Joy, I do think more that's directed to the lawsuit. I think that we're going to get rid of her, and that goes Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce. I think they were kind of almost collateral damage. Although it didn't do as well as they had thought, there was kind of the remnants of Undisputed. So it didn't do as well as they thought as well. So those guys are out. I think we're here on July. I'm sure by December they're going to do no shows. They kind of just threw those ones together at the last minute. Now, here's the good news for them. Now they get the chance to do some things I've been hearing that we are excited about. Max Kellerman, Tony Reale, etc. Now we're talking. Now they're revamping it to some things that we maybe hope to see. I would love for them to put Max at 10 o'clock to go against Steve. Now we're talking. Tony Reale, I got nothing but respect for him as well. Now those are just rumors. Kay Adams has been mentioned as well, so we will see. But they had to shake it up. They just weren't going in the right direction as well. Interesting to see. I hate to see people get fired though in any industry. It's hard. I kind of regret almost like making a joke last week about all these videos, TikTok getting fired or whatever, because I don't like to see people get fired. But interesting to see what happens at FS1 with the shakeup. I'd like to. We may go over this again next week, whatever was going on, but definitely too. So, a couple things. DCR TV this week. We're going to interview Saturday, 8:00. Dan Lane is going to be on here. And also to mention the shakeup at FS1. All right. It is time for baseball summer.
Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today.
All right. So it is time for baseball summer. We just had an MLB draft. So definitely we check that out. If you hadn't, I guess it's still on the channel. Definitely on the Driving to the Top and on the Bravery Sports Podcast. So we had the baseball MLB draft video last week. We talked about the Orioles and the Marlins, that total debacle with Kyle Stowers made him look crazy. And now we're going to do this, the 2025 new prospect list for those. I struggle with this, not because I don't know what the prospects are. I don't struggle with that part. But I struggle with this because I almost feel like I shouldn't do this now because the trade deadline is coming. I think I've waited 1 year till the trade deadline and do it because then, like, you could be talking about, like, and why do you do that? So the prospects could be leaving for a different team or coming in, or the opposite could be true. We could be a lot of prospects in from a different team than I would put in this case. So we reserve the right to revisit this. I don't think in either case that's going to happen as far as top 10 prospects. I think you're done as far as that goes. Because even if you make trades, you're not going to have really, really good prospects, I don't think, for what you trade, unless you're trading Gunner or something, something weird happens. Or I don't think you are going to be leaving guys as well. I don't think you're buyers either. So I don't think they're in either category. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I think we'll revisit it. But I think this is but I think, like, after the draft, I think it's a good opportunity to tell everybody where the prospects are. What I think the best prospects are. You may see different on different lists. That's okay. Just from everything I've seen and read, take a look at these prospects. I spent a lot of time looking at these prospects, looking at as many games as I can, etc. Reading. So this is where I see it as far as these guys. The top 25, 2025 new Orioles prospect. Yeah. So honorable mention. These guys didn't make the top 10, but they're still worth, I think, talking about. Kiefer Marte had some injuries this year. Blazing 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So definitely you got to keep your eye on him. I'm going to skip to Blair Tavra. Again, same. Moving through the minor league system, I think he's going up to Del Mar here pretty soon. I think outstanding, good stuff from him. We'll see. So he's young. I think he's a ways away, about at least 2 years away. But we'll see that. Creed Williams is very interesting now after the draft. Could they be trading him away because of all the catchers that they have? So it'll be interesting to see. Creed Williams, he's making fools out of a lot of people saying that he's not good enough to move up through the ranks. He's been outstanding this year. He's going to be going to Norfolk pretty soon, so they're going to have to make a decision on him. Keegan Gillies deserves an honorable mention. I don't know if he's ever going to be a top prospect because he's 27 years old. So why is he there? He's been outstanding in Bowie, and he has really played well. And got the last out of the Futures game as well, caught by Enrique Bradfield, right? So he's in. I think we could see him this year. I don't think he's going to be. I think if he's good in Norfolk, Continues to be good in Norfolk. I think they're going to give him there a month, and I think you could see him in Baltimore. He's been that good in the minors this year. Braxton Bragg, I think you could argue he's been their best starter in all the minor league system as well. Bragg's still not heavy on the pitching. I think that's a little bit of a concern. So Bragg is definitely getting that. Some would say he's going to get some time this year. I don't know about that. But I think definitely by next year, you could see him. And Caden Bodine, I think, was the best pure catcher in the draft. I think I mean backstop. I mean, defensively, he was, I thought, the best defensive catcher in the draft. A solid hitter. I don't know if he's going to hit for power. He certainly hit for average. He was a leadoff guy. He has good speed for a catcher. All the tools are there except for really hitting for power, which we will see if he can develop as well. He didn't really do that at Coastal Carolina. But the best player on Coastal Carolina team and certainly was picked. Problem is, how many catchers do you have? That's the thing. But Bodine is fantastic. Top 10. Who's in the top 10 prospect list? Vance Honeycutt. Yeah, I had to drop Vance Honeycutt. I'm still not out. I'm not out on Honeycutt yet, but he hasn't hit well. His numbers, it's worse every time I see him. There's a lot of strikeout, great defensively and all that, but some home runs, but not exactly. We're hoping that he may be trending towards Bowie by now. And he really hasn't played that well. I think he'll get to Bowie probably next year, but still a little bit more seasoning. Patrick Riley, I think, is really good as well. Again, more buzz for him about some of these pitchers. Again, next year, I don't think any of these guys really see significant time. Next year, throws the ball hard, had some injuries as well. So we'll see 23 years old. Throws the ball hard. Steven Martinez, long-term prospect, very, very young, 17 years old. So he's a ways away. But definitely so far, all the accolades, definitely doing everything very well in Florida Gulf Coast League, which we're going to talk about here on the channel as well. But yeah, definitely a guy, long-term view as well. So this is exactly what Mike Elias wants. This is exactly what Mike Elias wants. Like that international scouting, he's definitely that. Awima Aloy from Arkansas. So this guy was the best player in college baseball, Golden Spikes player. They were absolutely pitching around him in the College World Series. No question about it. There were so many good shortstops in this draft. Absolutely, he was in that category. Kind of got overshadowed by the really good high school players. That doesn't deter me on his ability at all. Hits for power, hits for all fields, hits for average. This is a steal getting him where they got him. But again, where you play him, like where some of these guys are blocked. So the position, I think I could see him moving to an outfield position or a third base. He's got that type of athletic ability. Michael Ferret, I think you'll have him as the highest pitcher in the Orioles organization. Ferret, I think, has been very good at all levels. I think he's probably, if there is one where you see him this year, this is probably the guy. I don't think that will happen, in part because they don't like to rush prospects, and also too, I think some of the guys are coming back, Bradish and all that, etc. You'll see him at some point. But Ferret, I think Ferret is definitely worth talking about in this year. He's outstanding. Griffo Farrell, again, a little better than Honeycutt, I think, in terms of that second and short. Again, kind of like a lot of what I said about that. Offensively hasn't gotten there as much as I had hoped, but still, I think a lot to be happy about. Very, very good defensively. Very good defensively. Griffo Farrell has been. Ike Irish. That's right. From Auburn. 21 years old. Good high school player. Good college player at the University of Auburn. I don't have him as a pure catcher. I think like he started the year as a catcher. He played outfield. I think the Orioles are going to do that. With all the catchers they have, and this guy has outfield ability, I I don't think they're going to go ahead and put him in the out. I don't think they're going to put him in catch. We might see him catch. We'll see. But I think they're going to leave him in the outfield and definitely maintain his outstanding quick batting power that he has. Hand speed for this kid is terrific. Moves up draft boards really quick late in the draft. Dylan Beavers, I think, is going to be, should already be in, I think, in Baltimore. But he's definitely been blocked as well in right field. Enrique Bradfield, we know, center fielder in way. I think he could be the starting center fielder as early as 2026. One they actually move on from Cedric Mullins or one of the other outfielders. I think it definitely could be Bradfield's job next season. And of course, we're all waiting on Sam Basayo, who is killing the game in Norfolk. Not a lot to say because we all know how good Sam Basayo is. He's still number one. There you go. All right. So those are the prospects as well. The top 10 prospects now in the Orioles system after the draft. Again, we reserve the right to look at it here in the next few weeks, and we'll take a look at it. All right. So we had a trade this week. Geraint Northrum was recalled from AAA Northrop, and a 2025 pick was acquired from the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for Brian Baker, who would always become the setup guy for the Orioles. Orioles has selected David Benatos from AAA. Brian Baker's gone, so Brian Baker is now pitching. We're going to see him soon playing for the Rays as well. They wanted that draft pick. I think that was more of it than anything else. Baker was not a guy they had long-term plans for as good as he was this year. The Rays actually know how to use a guy like that. I think that was more. I think they may sell. I think they're probably more sellers than buyers, but I think that they may have done. That's one they may have done anyway without that. So we'll see about that. Even in the midst of that, we told Benatos coming up. He was actually Norfolk. Colin Shelby was also recalled from Norfolk. Cade Povich was sent to Aberdeen. And Zach Eflin was sent to Chesapeake. That's double. They used to be Bowie. Rehab. So I've seen a couple people say, "What is Chesapeake?" That was the Bowie Bay Sox. It's now Chesapeake Bay Sox. Scott Buick was placed on the 15-day DL. So cavalry a little bit. Povich has struggled a bit. So I think that's what's going on with him. Eflin, I think, is maybe get 1-2 starts, he'll be back. So I think Eflin, good news there. The draft, we won't go over all of the picks. Irish, we talked about number one draft pick, 19. Certainly they weren't expecting him to be there. 30 and 31, Caden Bodine and Lee Malloy, tremendous college players. Those guys were outstanding college players. High school, Slater DeBron from Slater DeBron. He is going to be an outstanding high school player. A little bit more development for him. So certainly with all the outfield, definitely like that. Certainly I think they're going to send him to Lowell A. Delmarva real quick as well, or they may send him to rookie. We'll see as well, but certainly good at the top of the draft, the Orioles were. If you want to see the entire draft, it's on the Bravery Sports website, so definitely check that out. Grant Wortham was recalled as well. David Benatos, no, that's not repeat. That's two different assignments because Corbin Martin was designated for assignment. Somebody on Facebook today is like saying I'm just clickbaiting because reporting all the moves. Like, dude, this is what they're doing. They're just trying anything at this point. They're just trying. Orioles are just moving guys up and down. Here, we'll get to that. Keegan Gillies gets the final out of the Futures game with one batter went out. The organization made Enrique Bradfield. So we already talked about that as well. Gillies, I think, could see the majors this year. Bradfield, I think, is the center fielder in waiting. I do think that's the organization's plan. If they have a plan, that he's going to be here sooner rather than later. We talked about it today. Elvin, and Cliff and Claire and Sandra and all that. So Elvin Rodriguez off waivers from the Milwaukee Brewers from AAA Norfolk. So they're signing players, and they're sending them to Norfolk. Ryan O'Hearn was in the All-Star game. Didn't do a lot. 0 for 2. Congrats to him and his wife. Apparently, his wife is expecting. Good to see that how his baseball career is taking off. They were on the red carpet and all that. Not bad for a guy who was basically released and left for dead and has come along. Who was hot this week? Not as many games, obviously. Jordan Westberg, Larry Nile, Dean Kramer, they've been solid for a while. I think all three. Right now, I think has been the best signing I think they've made. Kramer, I think, has been fantastic. Westberg, I think you can almost make the case that goes like when he really plays well. Orioles, I know, win a lot when he does. Who has been not? Brandon Young. Maybe he's a 4A pitcher. Tyler O'Neill's really struggled. Cano has been up and now he's struggling again. I didn't think he was that good his last few outings as well. What's this week? Tampa Bay Rays. I think you're going to see Brian Baker in a lot of those games. We hope not, because he's going to be in the late innings used. And also to Cleveland Guardians. Guardians, I thought were really good at the beginning of the year. I think the bullpen has kind of struggled, and they really can't afford that. That's really a bread and butter for them with the Guardians. So interesting that. And I think Gunnar was the best player this week. So shout out Gunnar. Gunnar was good. Gunnar was really played well, hit for power, hitting key situations. So hopefully we can get back to the Gunnar Henderson that we all know as well. Thank you so much for joining us here this week on the Ravery Sports Podcast. Those of you watching right now, you right there watching on the Twitter page, definitely go to the YouTube, Ravery Sports Podcast, punch it right in, and go ahead and subscribe to the Ravery Sports YouTube channel or all of our platforms, Spotify, Twitch, and all that, etc. You guys have a great rest of your day. Games start back this week. Enjoy all the games.